Hi, and welcome back to Thone's Mount Nibbles, number 13. We're still in true righteousness, and we're trying to understanding the spiritual implications of salt losing its taste. And this is a famous saying, of course. We're going to be reading Matthew 5, verse 13. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of man. And so let's get this. I mean, we understand the concept of salt, but we're going to be speaking much more deeply about this than just the salt as a seasoning kind of thought. How this happens in the physical world and what this may imply in the spiritual world. And that's the point, is we understand salt in the physical world, but what about the spiritual world? And our communication is just keeping our witness on target. That is, saying the things that people need to hear. The application to my life. The first thing we need to understand is that many uses of salt in the Old Testament times. And we're talking about the physical uses here. Although today we think of salt as primarily a seasoning and occasionally something to raise the melting point of ice. That's why we salt the roads in the more northern climes. There are many other uses of salt too. In the first, it was used primarily as a purifying agent and as a preservative. And this implication, and now we're switching over to the eternal rather than the physical, the spiritual world. We as salt of the earth are to be. What are we to be? We're to be preservatives. We are to be disciples of Jesus. We are supposed to be examples of righteousness and purity to a corrupt world. The implication is that if the salt loses its flavor, that is, as it often did in the contaminated salt of that time, we may become contaminated people who become sinful in life, immoral and unrighteous. Such salt is only useful to be spread upon a path to kill the weeds and the other vegetation, keeping the path clear. And that's what they're talking about, being trod underfoot, is that salt, when it was of no other value, it's not a preservative anymore, it's not a seasoning anymore, it had an odd taste to it, let's say. It was used, it was spread out to basically kill weeds. And you would drop over it, and that salt would have the effect of keeping vegetation from growing, or at least growing very rapidly. But we, and we're back to the spiritual again, want our salt to be a good seasoning, keeping those we witness to interested in into the tasty word of the Lord. And you see that it's an incredibly good parallel there. You know, salt is used for this and this and this, and if it loses its flavor, it just has one thing left to do, and so on. And so we can think of the parallel with the physical salt in the world and the spiritual salt that represents us. Because God says here in the beginning, ye are the salt of the earth. Us. I don't think I taste very salty. I might if our mouth, if I'm exercising hard and sweat a lot. But, that's not the point. That kind of saltiness is not good for anybody. It's the saltiness of the Word that is really what we're supposed to be spreading. God says, my disciples need to be pure and righteous. And that's why the salt losing its savor means that we are not being good and righteous anymore, pure and righteous. We're having immoral backsliding. My personal response, Lord, thank you for your guidance and love as we serve in you as your representatives to the world. So, this is a good thought. And we'll talk more next time.